One of the most frequent questions I get asked in my consulting practice is this: I don't have a rich uncle, so how can I start my own business? I don't have any money. That is one of the most interesting questions. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Michael Zeischer, and this is the 43rd in a series of short videos designed to help entrepreneurs start their own companies. And with that, let us consider the first slide. The title of this presentation, which is number 43 in the series, is Bootstrapping Your Startup, or How Do I Start My Startup with Minimal Resources? So let's take a look at that. And I'm going to be using my own book. The book is called Commercialization Secrets for Scientists and Engineers. And this is from chapter 3, which is called Development on a Shoestring, which is also called bootstrapping. So shoestringing and bootstrapping essentially are used interchangeably. So let's come up with a good definition of what bootstrapping is. Bootstrapping is starting your company with your existing resources. And what are the only existing resources at the very beginning? You are the only existing resource. It's going to be only you. And this, of course, is going to be from the early stage point of view. This is the earliest stage of an early stage company. That's what bootstrapping is all about. Now, as far as the process is concerned, you may get started. You're going to have a certain amount of work done by yourself. And then hopefully you might be able to recruit volunteers. This is talent, information, knowledge that you need from people that you know. And these individuals, you need to have them volunteer their talent and their services to you because you may not have any money to give them. Well, using yourself and perhaps volunteers, you're probably going to come up with what we're going to call the minimum viable product, the very first thing that you might be able to put on the market. So that is called the minimum viable product. So let's take a look at pros and cons. And there are many pros and there are going to be many cons, but I'm going to take only 3. So on the pros, of course, one of the greatest advantage that you have, that if you have your own business and you haven't done anything as far as selling stock or giving it to anybody, is that there's absolutely no dilution. You own 100% of the company. Obviously, you have full control. Whatever you say goes. You're the only one in the company. You're the one that does it all. So of course you have full control. Now, as far as your expectations are concerned, this is something that this is your dream. And there's a technical word for this. In business, we call it your vision. You need to have a vision. And that is part of the pros of bootstrapping. Now let's take a look at 3 cons. The biggest problem, you have a lack of resources, of course. And at some point in time, you may be able to, end up by having a little bit of money or something. You might be able to do some recruitment of your your preliminary employees. But one of the biggest problems in bootstrapping is going to be the problem that you have what is called tunnel vision. There's nobody in the company in a position of authority to tell you what you're doing wrong. See, sometimes it is much more important to hear what people say that you're doing wrong than to have yes men tell you that everything you're doing is right. So how do you go about minimizing expenses? Well, at the very beginning, you're going to create a very, very realistic budget. Don't kid yourself. This has got to be really realistic. Now, once you do that, you have what is called starting costs, and you have an idea, a really good idea of what your starting costs are going to be. Once you have starting costs well defined, you are now ready to do a business plan. Because with a business plan, you can go out and try to raise capital. And with whom do you do with whom can you do raising capital at the very beginning of something as early stage as we're talking about? Well, you only have two sources. Either you go to the FNF, friends and family, or you go to something relatively new, which is called crowdfunding. And for that, you're going to need a business plan. This is very important. You need to go inexpensive, but not cheap. So rather than having a nice fancy office with all kinds of amenities and views, and that you're going to have an office which is it's got all kinds of windows in it, you may have to end up in an incubator. You may have to end up on the inside of an incubator with absolutely no windows at all. But at least you don't spend money in rent or high rent. The other thing is that you may need equipment. Obviously, being a technologist that you are and a very knowledgeable person, you're going to want to have the absolute latest equipment. Well, you may have to compromise on that and use used equipment. The other one is, be sure that you hear this. You're going to have to evaluate and reevaluate what you're doing. You're going to have to adapt to changes. Regardless of your realistic budget and your business plan, I can almost guarantee you that it isn't going to take a very long period of time from the time you start, that things are going to change and you're going to have to change with it. So be adaptable to making appropriate changes. And lastly, but not least, you need to, at the very beginning, start to establish your company culture. You need to have in place for your employees and for anybody who is associated with you, what are your values, your aspirations, which is called your vision, what are your goals, and for those people who join you at the very, very beginning, that staff, you need to let them know what kind of rewards they can expect to get from you if they help you succeed. Thank you. If you go to www.zeicherinstitute.com, you will see our webpage. We have 10 easy to follow recorded lectures complemented by hundreds of slides. If you purchase the online course, you will receive a complimentary copy of the complete transcript as a PDF. So you don't have to start writing anything. Everything about the course will be at your fingertips, thus allowing you to make a copy of the transcript. And in the website, you will find the entire lecture number 1 as a free gift, which is about 30 minutes in duration. So please do that, and I wish you the best of luck as an entrepreneur.